Hello, homeboys. So people keep asking, right? Skadi came out, right? People keep asking what's better, the book or Skadi, right? In my opinion, right? I say opinion, right? I have kind of proof backing this, right? Uh, they're both top tier, right? They're very fucking close together. If I put them on a tier list, right, I would put them right on top of each other. That's what I think. Um, I think Skadi is better for pay-to-win players, and Book is slightly better for free-to-play. What I mean by this, I mean that until A3, I think Skadi is worse than the Book, but past at A3, Skadi becomes better in almost everything except ranking content. What I mean by ranking content, I mean that like in like Battlefield of Time, right? I think Book will still be probably better because Book is more bursty, but that's besides the point. Let me get into all the setup and all the testing that I did. So we're gonna also test it. I mean, I say test it, I already tested it. I'm just basically gonna go over the rundown what I used for this testing, right? So as you can see, I have A1 Skadi, A1 Book, right? Different from my main. On my main, I unfortunately have Book at A2, Skadi at A0, right? This is a different account. So fair comparison, right? Both of them at A1, their skills are 125, 125, right? Simple, right? This is what we're using. As far as my as far as the gym looks like, the blessing stones don't really matter. I put in one that has no effect. That's simple. It 72k total power, 16k attack, crit rate 50%, crit damage 160%, right? I used both of the weapons together, right? But I only used one at a time for simply, so it's equal stats, right? There's no bullshit with there's different attack or stuff like that, right? Artifacts, ultimate set plus power acquisition set. No effect on the results because I didn't use my ultimate, okay? Beast set, 2 behemoth. Like, don't question why I made such a weird fucking decision, right? I just put it together because I had the best fucking stats on these, right? It doesn't really matter. In fact, Skadi had the edge because of this, because Skadi hits more fucking times when you're attacking, right? That's kind of it. So, off to the results. Okay, so I'm back on main, right? So, I finished testing on another account, right? A1 Book and A1 Skadi, right? So the results are gonna be on screen, right? Also, kind of teams, it's gonna be fast, but it doesn't matter. So the results are interesting in the fact that the Book outperforms Skadi, and in only the case where I missed one skill on the Book, like the Book was able to kill the bear in every run, even with shit time, right? Like, there was one run that I didn't kill it, and that was the run where the bear basically hit me and interrupted my skill. So that basically tells you one thing, right? Hitting skills on Skadi is not as punishing as it is on the Grimoire, because on the Grimoire, right, if you fuck up your skill, you lose a nice portion of your damage, and it's easy to fuck up because one light tap from the enemy, and well, the Book is basically lost that skill already, right? So yeah, and the thing is, right, if you compare the Book and Skadi, right, the Book actually has 200% a higher scaling on the skill than it does on the skills. However, Skadi does actually have a higher core attack and basic attack scaling. So Skadi is more basic attack focused than the Book, which means, the Book is kind of more of a burst weapon, right? You use it and you kind of switch out. So it's kind of like a support weapon in that case. So honestly, maybe as a standalone, it's not that good to begin with. So that's the one thing I kind of noticed in those runs, right? Other than that, right, the Book did outperform Skadi. I think the reason for that is because Book's natural effect, right, like what you get when you pull the Book, is better. I think the damage plus the higher scaling just beats out Skadi by a little bit. That's why I think that, like, if you're looking A3 and higher, right, there's a lot more meaning in the whole thing, right? Because like, put it this way, right, on the Book, A1 does not matter unless you're fighting elemental weaknesses, because the effect, right, unless you're fighting an enemy that's weak to your element, you don't get the 24% damage increase. On Skadi, you don't get the water damage, does nothing. I know, like, for some people it's probably a confusion, right? But elemental damage only applies when you have an elemental advantage, right? So all the white numbers you see on screen right now, that shit doesn't matter. Like, that means you're hitting neutral damage. Only when the numbers are colored does it mean you're not hitting neutral numbers and the elemental damage applies. So basically, Skadi A1 does not get the 10% water elemental damage. The Grimoire A1 in neutral does not get the 24% increase, right? That's what that shit means, okay? So A2 does not matter. A2, both of them get the same 10% water damage increase. That's kind of really it as far as it goes, right? The difference is really A3, because the A3, the 10% increase the repeat damage on the passive for the book is not enough to beat the 12% attack and 12% defense penetration that Skadi gets. So past A3, Skadi just gets more for just facing neutral enemies. Now, right, that one ended. So we're gonna I'm gonna put up the Vulcan comparison run. The Vulcan comparison was closer, but also keep in mind, right, I had to power down a lot, and the problem with this one is, it's a lower level content, it has less HP, so comparison is harder to make, right? So based on the amount of time I took to clear, right, you can draw conclusions from that. Fact of the matter is, it's similar situation again. The Grimoire, right, the worst time for Grimoire was similar to average time for Skadi, but that was only the case because on the Grimoire, I actually fucked up and half of the ulti missed because I used it when the boss jumped up. I actually have full videos for all the testing I did, so if anyone suddenly raises up all the testing or bullshit, right, I can upload that, no problem, right? But this is basically, I'm just saying, what I found, right? And that was kind of the case with it. I'm not trying to say that Skadi is shit or something, right? I still think Skadi is fucking amazing, right? I'm just saying that on A2, below A3, right, book is still better. Only after A3 does Skadi start outscaling the book. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So what I say is, right, for free to plays, the book actually has more value, because if you're free to play, right, anything below A3, right, I consider fully free to play, because honestly, free to plays are not hunting for star levels, right? If you're free to play, right, you get A0, right, and then you try to get the next SSR, right? Unless you have godlike luck, you're not gonna have you're not just gonna pull A3 Skadi out of your ass, right? That's just what I'm kind of saying. But yeah, if you're talking whale terms, right, past A3, Skadi is gonna be better in almost all content except ranking content. I think in ranking content, the book is still gonna be better, simply because the book is more bursty, right? The repeat damage, it's insane. If you combine it with the sniper, it's gonna fucking slap. That's all I can say, right? I would love to test this at some point at A3, right? If I get the book to A3, I'll keep it at A3 on my main, right? Even if I get more books, right, I'm gonna try to scale them up both to A3, right? Because that's, I think, where A3 is gonna be the divergence between them. So if that does happen at some point, I'll test those together. Now, to answer your question on what to pull, if you're free to play, I think the answer is still the book. If you're pay to win, both. But in reality, it's probably Skadi. The thing is, Skadi's biggest advancement is A3. Book's biggest advancement is A1. So you pick and choose, right? The book is a better support weapon. Skadi is a better standalone weapon. What I mean by support weapon is, the book brings in more utility with the cold ice, right? Repeating damage. It's good burst, right? It packs well together with a high damage dealing weapon like the sniper or the scythe, right? So they go well together. This one also, elemental weakness is great. That means any weapon that you take in aside from the book that has an elemental advantage in a stage is gonna get 24% more damage when this is active. So if you're fighting something that's weak to dark, scythe is gonna do 24% more damage. Sniper is gonna do 24% more damage. So yeah, you know, that's that, right? Skadi is a little bit more selfish. Skadi doesn't, well, it freezes, right? The freeze is nice. The book also freezes, so it's the same there. So you know, look at any way you want. You get 3% attack and 3% defense penetration, which was not enough to beat the book. So I mean, with A3 you get, you know, 9% more of each, so that's really big. But the problem is, book's A1 is useful at all times basically if you have elemental advantage in any way, whereas Skadi's A1 is only really useful if you're fighting someone that's weak to water. For A2 they're literally the same, there's no comparison there. Skadi's A3 is better when basically in every situation it's just better, right? And it's really big. Book's A3 is better in a burst situation because you do more damage, like you repeat more damage because the original 10% becomes 20. So as I said, I think for free to plays the book is still better. For whales the gun is better. Ultimately both of the weapons are neck and neck, right? I think they're basically together, right? If you're putting it on a tier list, A2 and below, a book is higher, slightly higher. Skadi is slightly lower. Past E3, I think Skadi is actually higher than the book, but it also depends on what content you're looking at. Keep in mind, right, the book might be a little bit easier to use because it's more ranged, but it's easier to interrupt the skill, as where Skadi is kind of the opposite, where the skill is not as easy to interrupt, so you can utilize it more easily, but it is close range, so in a lot of situations it's hard to fully utilize it. Maybe that's why the results looked like that, because you know, the enemy kept running away, so you couldn't really, you know, fully utilize Skadi's DPS uptime. But I think the book at lower advancements is still better. So that's it. I hope you have a good morning, day, or evening. I hope you tell me how I'm wrong, and I hope you also have a nice day.